And this week, Seoul and Tokyo celebrate 60 years of normalizing diplomatic relations. The Japanese embassy in Seoul held a reception to celebrate the milestone, with the theme being hand in hand towards a better future. President Lee Jae-myung emphasized this message. Our foreign affairs correspondent Oh Soo-young has more.
From historic highs and lows, South Korea and Japan are pledging to move forward, hand in hand towards a better future. That was the message from President Lee Jae-myung and senior diplomats as both nations marked 60 years since normalizing bilateral relations. On Monday, the Japanese embassy in Seoul hosted the reception to mark the milestone, reflecting on the 1965 Treaty on Basic Relations, signed 20 years after Korea's liberation from Japanese colonial rule at the end of World War II. They also agreed on economic cooperation and a claim settlement, under which Japan provided $300 million in grants and $200 million in loans over 10 years. Over the past 6 decades, annual trade between the two neighbors has surged from just $200 million to around $70 billion last year, a 350-fold increase. And people traveling between the two countries, numbering around 10,000 in 1965, has now surpassed 12 million a year. But history remains a sensitive fault line. Japan's wartime forced labour, its sexual enslavement of so-called comfort women, and territorial disputes have long fueled friction, which spiralled in 2019 into a full-blown diplomatic and trade standoff. The Yoon Suk-yeol government moved to mend ties, restoring reciprocal visits between the leaders and strengthening trilateral cooperation with the United States. President Lee Jae-myung has signalled continued engagement, speaking via video due to his trip to Canada to attend the G7 summit.
격변하는 국제 정세 속에서 우리 양국은 함께 대응 방안을 모색해야 하는 중요한 파트너입니다.
Japan's ambassador Mitsushima Koichi said the two nations should now build new momentum for the decades ahead and emphasize the importance of trilateral ties with the US. Japan's special advisor to the Prime Minister Nagashima Akihisa, who also heads the Japan-Korea Parliamentarians Union, called for broader cooperation.
Expanding bilateral communication and cooperation is no longer a choice, but a necessity. This applies across various sectors, including security, economy, energy, technology, and culture.
The commemorations will continue on Thursday in Tokyo, where Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba is set to attend a corresponding reception hosted by the Korean embassy. But first, President Lee and Prime Minister Ishiba could well hold their first meeting on the sidelines of the G7 summit. Oh Soo-young, Arirang News.